Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we are tackling a massive, fundamental question in programming: array versus linked list. Which one is actually better? Our goal today is to figure out exactly how we best store data in programming. It's literally the foundation of everything we build in computer science, and I am so thrilled to unpack this with you. Okay, let's dive into this. I want you to imagine you have two completely different toy boxes. The first one, it's perfectly divided into little numbered drawers, and every single toy has its own specific numbered spot. But the second one, well, the toys are just scattered all over the room. The catch is, each toy has a piece of string tied to it that leads you directly to the next toy. Now, think about it. Which setup is going to help you find your absolute favorite toy faster? This little puzzle perfectly represents exactly how we manage information in computer science. What we're really talking about here are two foundational data structures, the array and the linked list. Today, I'm going to break down exactly how each one works, when you should realistically use one over the other, and we're going to do it all as if we're just playing with those toy boxes. By the end of this explainer, the way computers manage memory is going to make complete, crystal clear sense to you. And this brilliantly illustrates the first concept. Think of an array kind of like a carton of eggs, or maybe a row of seats in a theater. Notice how these seats in a computer's memory are perfectly lined up right next to each other. In computer science, we call this contiguous memory locations. And check this out. Every single seat has a number, an index, and it always starts right at 0. If I tell you to go sit in seat number 3, you can walk straight there in a split second because you can see the layout and you know exactly where it is. Because of this highly organized setup, arrays give us direct access. It is lightning fast. You want data at index 7? Boom, you have it in a single step. No waiting around. But here is the crucial limitation. Remember how I said it's like a row of theater seats? Well, arrays are a fixed size. If you and 4 friends book a row of 5 seats and suddenly a 6th friend shows up, you can't just magically squeeze a new chair into a fixed row. You have to go find a completely new, bigger row of seats somewhere else in the theater, and all of you have to pack up your stuff and move. In programming, shifting all that data to a new contiguous memory block is costly, and it is very, very slow. So what if we just don't want to deal with fixed sizes and moving everyone around? Well, that brings us to our second structure, the linked list. If the array is a rigid row of theater seats, the linked list is essentially a memory treasure hunt. In this system, our data isn't perfectly lined up side by side anymore. Instead, the pieces of data are just scattered dynamically all over the computer's memory. To make this treasure hunt actually work, we absolutely need 2 key components, the node and the pointer. You'll want to remember these terms because they are industry standard. Each scattered piece of data sits on its own little island, and we call that island a node. But a node doesn't just hold your data, like say your favorite toy. It also holds a pointer. You can think of this pointer literally as a treasure map or a little slip of paper containing the exact memory address of where the next node lives. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how this chain reaction works. The nodes are totally separate, but they're connected by those directional arrows, the pointers. But here's the catch. If you want to find the third item in a linked list, there's no way to just jump straight to it like you could with an array's direct access. You absolutely have to visit the first item to read its pointer, which directs you to the second item, which then finally gives you the pointer to find the third item. You are literally following a treasure map, step by step. Now, this gives the linked list some incredibly unique characteristics. The biggest win? Dynamic memory size and extreme flexibility. You want to add a new toy to the collection? Awesome. You don't have to pack up and move all your data like we did with the array. You just drop the new node wherever there's space in memory and update one single pointer to include it in the chain. It means incredibly fast insertions and fast deletions. But you have to balance that against the major drawback of slow sequential searching. Walking down that chain one by one takes time, especially if the list gets massively long. So the crucial point is really understanding this raw computational trade-off. If we drop the toy boxes and theater seats for a second, it all comes down to this head-to-head showdown. The array is your undisputed champion for incredibly fast reads and direct access, but it's rigid and it's stuck with a fixed size. On the flip side, the linked list is your absolute master of flexibility, boasting extremely fast inserts and deletes and a dynamic size, but it sacrifices that read speed because it heavily relies on sequential searching. Let's actually put this into practice by looking at some real-world scenarios. If you are building a program where you know the exact amount of data and you need to look it up constantly, like the 7 days of the week or maybe the top 5 student grades, you absolutely use an array.
But what if you're building a music playlist application? Users are constantly adding songs, deleting songs, moving things around. The size changes all the time. In that scenario, a linked list is absolutely the better choice to handle those frequent dynamic changes smoothly without wasting your computer's memory.
Which brings us to the ultimate question for you. Are you choosing the exact right tool for your programming problem? You see, the real secret to mastering computer science isn't just memorizing definitions, it's deeply understanding these trade-offs. The next time you open your favorite app, I want you to ask yourself, is the data you're interacting with sitting in rigid feeder seats, or are you navigating a dynamic treasure hunt? Think about that. Make sure to like and subscribe and join us next time as we unpack two more fascinating structures, the stack and the queue. See you then.